Today we're going to take a deep dive into the ketogenic diet, or keto as most folks know it.
Sounds good.
We'll really unpack what it is, why it's gotten so much attention lately, and what it actually involves.
Yeah.
And for this one, we've got some great insights from some doctors who really specialize in this whole keto thing.
Cool.
So maybe to kick things off, what's the big deal with this whole keto thing? Is it really as different from just regular dieting as people make it sound?
It really is kind of different. You see, it's not so much about dieting, well, in the traditional sense anyway. It's really more about, well, pushing your body into this specific metabolic state. It's called ketosis.
Ketosis, that's the word everyone always throws around.
Right.
So what's really going on in our bodies when we're in ketosis?
Okay, so think of it this way. Your body normally prefers to use carbs for energy.
Makes sense. Carbs are fuel.
Right, like a car running on gas. But when you run out of carbs, your body usually taps into these stored carbs called glycogen.
Oh yeah, glycogen, like a reserve fuel tank.
Exactly. But a keto basically, well, it removes that reserve tank.
No backup fuel.
Yeah.
So what keeps us running then?
That's when your body's got to switch gears. It starts using fat for fuel instead.
Wow. So we're really running on something different.
You got it. And during this process, it creates these molecules. They're called ketone bodies. They're like, you can think of them like an alternative energy source. Your body can use them when it doesn't have the glucose from carbs.
So we're not running on gas anymore. It's something else entirely.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
So that's ketosis, huh?
That's the heart of it.
Okay. So how does this ketosis thing connect to, well, all the weight loss stuff? Is that why ketos become so popular?
It's definitely a big reason why. You hear a lot about keto and weight loss, but there's, actual science behind it. See, when your body burns fat for fuel, it's actually less efficient than using glucose.
Really?
Yeah, so your body's got to work harder to, burn more fat just to get the same amount of energy.
Interesting.
And that, all that extra effort can actually lead to weight loss.
So it's like keto tackles weight loss from both sides. It reduces those carbs that, get stored as fat, but it also makes your body work harder to burn the fat it's already got.
Exactly. You got it.
That's pretty clever.
And there's actually another layer to it.
Yeah?
Yeah, the doctors we talked to, they pointed out that, when you restrict carbs, it actually helps to prevent them from, being converted into fat and stored in the first place.
So less fuel to store means less fat, I guess.
Right, and we all know that, too much sugar is a major contributor to weight gain.
So it's hitting those two major drivers of weight gain at the same time.
Pretty much. And you know what? There's a third piece of the puzzle, too.
Okay, what's that?
Appetite control.
Oh, right. I have heard about that.
Studies suggest that keto can actually help, manage those hunger hormones. And it can actually make you feel fuller for longer.
That makes a lot of sense. If you're not feeling as hungry, it's going to be easier to stick to the diet.
Exactly. And avoid overeating.
So that's 3 ways keto helps with weight loss. But, I've also heard that the initial switch to keto can be really tough.
Oh, yeah.
People complain about, crazy craving.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
So what have the doctors had to say about, helping people get through that initial hump?
Well, they really emphasized focusing on whole foods, those nutrient-dense foods, and, of course, staying hydrated.
Yeah, makes sense. Good advice for anything, really.
And they also encourage people to try out different keto-friendly recipes and, get into meal prepping to really stay on track.
So support and preparation is key.
That's the idea.
All right. Well, let's talk about the potential downsides of keto. Because we're basically forcing our bodies into this emergency mode, right?
Yeah.
Relying solely on ketone bodies.
Right.
It just seems like there could be some risks involved.
You're right to bring that up. It's important to remember that even our vital organs, like, our brain and heart, they need a constant supply of energy.
Yeah, of course.
And during ketosis, they actually have to adapt to using those ketone bodies as their main fuel source.
Oh, wow.
And that's not how our bodies typically function.
So what could happen if, someone's body just doesn't handle that transition very well.
Well, in extreme cases, it can actually lead to this condition called ketoacidosis.
Ketoacidosis.
Yeah, and that's where ketone bodies build up to, well, dangerous levels, and they make your blood too acidic, which can actually harm your organs.
That sounds pretty serious.
The doctors, they highlighted that as a really big concern, especially for people who already have certain health problems.
So are there any warning signs to look out for?
Definitely. The doctors mentioned several symptoms, things like bad breath, if you have headaches that just won't go away, kidney problems. They also said nausea, dizziness. You might even have muscle cramps and weakness. Oh, and even brain fog.
So if you're experiencing any of that, you got to get to a doctor.
Right away.
Okay. So given those risks, are there people who just absolutely should not do keto?
Oh, absolutely. The doctors we interviewed, they specifically said that people with metabolic diseases should stay away from keto, and also anyone with, thyroid, kidney, liver, or pancreas problems.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of people.
Right. And they also strongly advise against keto for anyone with diabetes or a history of eating disorders.
So keto's not for everyone?
Not at all. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. And there's some serious health things to think about.
No doubt. And, even for healthy folks, the doctors emphasize that long-term keto isn't generally recommended.
Why is that?
Well, it's, because it's so restrictive and it can actually lead to, nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're cutting out so many food groups, you're going to miss out on some nutrients.
Exactly. And interestingly, it can actually lead to rebound weight gain, too.
Rebound weight gain. So, you lose weight on keto, but then gain it all back.
Sometimes even more. It's often a combination of things. First, keto's so restrictive that it can lead to, intense cravings.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it makes it, really hard to stick with it long term. So people, fall off the wagon and gain the weight back.
Makes sense.
And then second, keto can actually lead to metabolic adaptations. And those can make it easier to gain weight back once you go back to, a more typical way of eating.
So it's not just about willpower. There's actual stuff happening in your body that makes it hard to keep the weight off.
Oh, exactly. It's complicated. And that's why the doctors, they really stress how important it is to work with a healthcare professional.
Yeah. To make sure keto is right for you in the first place.
Exactly. To create a personalized plan and to monitor your progress.
So professional guidance is key.
Absolutely essential, especially if you have specific goals, like weight loss or fat loss or even muscle definition.
Yeah, because they can help you personalize keto to increase your chances of success and make sure you're staying safe.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's say someone, under the guidance of a healthcare professional, of course, decides to give keto a try. What does eating keto actually look like?
Well, it's all about understanding the macro ratios.
Macro ratios.
Yeah, it's basically the breakdown of your daily calories.
Yeah.
From fat, protein, and carbs.
Right.
So with keto, you're aiming for around 60 to 75% of your calories from fat.
Wow, that's a lot of fat.
Yeah. Then about 25 to 30% from protein.
Okay. And then carbs.
Carbs are super low, just 5 to 10%.
That's a big change from how most people eat.
It really is. I mean, in a typical diet, carbs often make up the majority of your calories.
Yeah, for sure. So how is this different from other low-carb diets, like paleo, for example?
Well, paleo allows for more carbs from certain fruits and veggies.
Okay, yeah.
But with keto, those carb restrictions are much stricter. You're usually limited to 20 to 50 grams per day.
Wow, that's really low.
Right.
So what's left to enjoy on keto with such low carb intake? It sounds incredibly restrictive.
Well, it is restrictive, but it's not, all deprivation. Keto actually emphasizes those nutrient-dense foods that make you feel full and satisfied.
Okay, so what kinds of foods are we talking about?
Well, let's start with the fats and proteins you can enjoy freely.
Okay.
All types of meat, even red meat. Fish and seafood, especially the oily fish. Eggs, and that includes the yolks.
Okay.
Full-fat dairy, like cream and cheese.
Yeah.
Cocoa and dark chocolate, but of course no sugar.
Right.
Avocados, nuts, coconut products, vegetable oils, seeds, and nut butters.
That actually sounds pretty tasty.
Yeah, there are lots of flavorful options.
But I'm guessing it's those restrictions that trip most people up, right?
You got it. The no-go list on keto is pretty long. It includes grains like bread, pasta, and rice.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
legumes, and most fruits and vegetables, especially the starchy or sweet ones.
Wow, that's a big change for a lot of people. No more grabbing a quick sandwich or a bowl of pasta.
Right. And of course, any added sugars are out.
So it really takes planning and preparation to make keto work.
Definitely. And that's another reason why, working with a healthcare professional or a registered dietitian can be so helpful.
Makes sense. So how do people manage to, stick to such a strict diet long term? Are there creative meal ideas that keep things interesting?
Absolutely. One strategy the doctors talked about was finding keto-friendly alternatives to, familiar meals.
Oh, that's smart.
Like instead of a classic omelet with potatoes and veggies, you could load it up with cheese, bacon, and spinach.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Or, roasted chicken with creamy cauliflower mash instead of mashed potatoes.
Ah, smart swap. What about eggs?
Oh, they're a keto staple for sure. They're super versatile, and you can prep them in advance for quick and easy meals.
Speaking of quick and easy, did the doctors share any specific meal examples that their patients really enjoy?
Oh, yeah, they did. They gave a whole bunch of delicious keto-friendly options.
Right.
For breakfast, they mentioned fluffy omelets. And have you ever heard of cloud bread?
Cloud bread? No, what's that?
It's made with eggs and cream cheese. It's surprisingly bread-like.
Interesting.
They also mentioned egg soufflés with bacon, egg casseroles with serrano ham, eggs with sobrasada.
Huh?
Yeah. And baked eggs on avocado with goat cheese, Turkish eggs with yogurt, cod scrambles, even keto waffles.
Wow, that's a lot more variety than I expected. What about for lunch or dinner?
Oh, plenty of options there too. For meat and poultry lovers, they mentioned juicy chicken breasts, Middle Eastern-style chicken thighs, Robuchon-style roast chicken, baked chicken with spices, baked chicken with herbs, chicken and avocado salad, and even a 5-minute curried turkey recipe.
That's a lot of chicken.
It is.
What about fish and seafood?
Plenty of those too. They mentioned baked sardines with parsley, marinated salmon skewers, baked salmon with nuts, grilled octopus, but without the usual high-carb garnishes, of course. Salmon sashimi, even mussels in a cider vinegar marinade.
This is starting to sound pretty gourmet. It's definitely not all bland, boring diet food.
Not at all. And if you've got a sweet tooth, there are even dessert and bread ideas using cocoa, full-fat dairy, eggs, and avocado.
Wait, you can have dessert on keto?
The trick is eliminating sugar, honey, and syrups. Instead, they rely on spices and natural sweeteners like erythritol or stevia to add flavor and sweetness.
So there's a lot more culinary creativity with keto than I thought.
You got it. But it does take some effort and, a willingness to experiment in the kitchen.
I bet. Well, I think that's a good place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground, the basics of keto, why it's so popular for weight loss. And, we even touched on some of the potential risks and things to think about.
Yeah.
And we got a little peek into, what eating keto really looks like.
Right.
But before we move on to part 2, I'm curious, what are your initial thoughts on keto so far?
What really sticks out to me is the importance of personalized guidance. Keto, it can be a powerful tool, but it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Working with a healthcare professional to, tailor the diet to your needs and monitor your progress, it just seems crucial for both safety and success.
That's a great point, and it's something we'll dig into even deeper in part 2 of our keto deep dive.
Yeah.
We'll explore the long-term stuff, the implications of this diet, and we'll also talk about, how to approach it, or any dietary change for that matter, in a way that really prioritizes sustainable health and well-being.
Exactly.
So be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll continue to unpack all the complexities of the ketogenic diet and give you the knowledge you need to, make informed decisions about your health and nutrition. We'll be right back.
See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into all things keto.
All right, so we've got the basics down. What keto is, those potential benefits, and the drawbacks we need to watch out for. But now I really want to dig into those long-term considerations you mentioned.
Right.
Is keto actually a sustainable approach for, lasting health and well-being?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It really is.
And it's a complicated one. I mean, keto might offer that initial weight loss and maybe even some other benefits in the short term, but it's so important to, to look beyond those early results and consider the long game.
So what are some of those long-term things that people need to be aware of? What do the doctors have to say about that?
One of the main concerns they brought up was just how restrictive keto is. I mean, let's be real. Who wants to give up, like, birthday cake or pizza forever?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maintaining those super strict limits on, what you can eat, it's got to be incredibly tough for most people over time.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's one thing to follow a strict diet for a few weeks or maybe even months, but to make it your whole way of eating for life.
Right.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But besides the social and mental stuff, are there like actual health concerns with doing keto long term?
There are. You see, keto kind of puts your body into, emergency mode.
Yeah.
It makes it rely on fat for fuel. And while that might be okay for a little while, staying in that state forever, it can have consequences.
Okay, so let's break it down. What are some of those health concerns that could pop up with long-term keto?
One thing is nutrient deficiencies.
Right, yeah.
When you severely restrict, fruits and vegetables and whole grains, you're cutting out a lot of those essential vitamins and minerals and fiber. And over time, that can lead to, shortages. And those shortages can, they can affect your health in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we all know how important those nutrients are for, like, everything. Energy levels, immune function, even our mental well-being.
Exactly. And then there's the potential impact on gut health.
Oh, right. Gut health is so important these days.
The doctors really emphasize this. It's a growing area of research. They talked about the gut microbiome.
Right. All those trillions of bacteria in our digestive tract.
Exactly. And it's crucial for, digestion, immunity, even mental well-being. But limiting carbs like keto does, it can mess with that delicate balance in your gut.
So it's not just about the food we're putting in, it's about how that food affects the ecosystem inside us.
Right. And of course there's the rebound weight gain thing we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Once you stop doing keto, it's easy to slip back into your old eating habits, and then the weight comes back, sometimes even more than before.
It's that yo-yo effect.
Yeah.
So many people struggle with that. It sounds like long-term keto just comes with a whole bunch of challenges.
It does.
So if it's not ideal for the long haul, what are some other dietary approaches that could help people, manage their weight in a sustainable way and stay healthy overall? Did the doctors have any suggestions?
They were pretty straightforward about this. There's no magic bullet or one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to, what we eat. We're all different, and what works for one person might not work for another.
Makes sense.
But they did offer some general principles that can, kind of guide us towards a more balanced and sustainable way of eating.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of those guiding principles?
Instead of cutting out entire food groups like keto does with carbs, they recommend focusing on creating a balanced eating pattern that you can actually enjoy, and that prioritizes those whole unprocessed foods.
Okay, so instead of restriction and feeling deprived, it's more about making healthy choices from all the food groups.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So what would that look like in real life? What kind of diet are we talking about?
Think Mediterranean style.
Oh, right.
The doctors really liked that approach. It emphasizes those whole minimally processed foods, like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats. It's about abundance and variety, not, scarcity and limits.
That definitely sounds more appealing and honestly a lot more sustainable than a diet like keto.
Right.
But it's not just about the food itself, right? There's more to it than just swapping out certain foods.
You're absolutely right. The doctors were very clear about this. It's not just about what you eat, but also how you eat. They talked about mindful eating habits.
Mindful eating.
Yeah, and that can really change your whole relationship with food and impact your health in a big way.
So what does mindful eating, what does that actually look like?
It's about tuning into your body's cues, learning to eat when you're actually hungry and stopping when you're comfortably full. It's about savoring every bite, paying attention to the flavors and the textures, even the aromas of your food.
Yeah, really being present with what you're eating.
Right. And it also means ditching those distractions. Put away your phone, turn off the TV, just be present with your meal.
So it's about building a better relationship with food, not seeing it as the enemy or something to be controlled.
Exactly. Food is nourishment. It's pleasure. It's even about connecting with other people. It plays a huge role in our well-being.
That's a great way to think about it, and it definitely seems more sustainable and enjoyable than just constantly fighting cravings and feeling deprived.
Right.
But what about exercise? Where does that fit in when we're talking about, managing your weight long term and staying healthy?
The doctors, they talked a lot about finding an activity you genuinely enjoy and making it part of your routine, whether it's dancing or hiking or swimming or even just taking a brisk walk. Finding something you love makes it way more likely that you'll stick with it.
That's a great reminder. It's not about, punishing yourself with workouts.
Right.
It's about moving in a way that feels good and makes you happy.
Exactly.
But how does exercise actually help with weight management? Is it all about burning calories?
It's definitely more than just burning calories, though that is part of it, of course.
Yeah.
Exercise also helps regulate your hormones, improves your insulin sensitivity,
Right.
that's really important for managing blood sugar and preventing weight gain. And it also boosts your metabolism.
So it works hand in hand with a healthy diet to promote both weight loss and overall health.
Exactly. And one of the biggest benefits of regular exercise, the doctors pointed this out, is its impact on mental health.
Oh yeah, that's so important.
It can reduce stress, improve your mood, boost self-esteem, and even help you sleep better. All those things play a role in how we feel overall.
So it's not just about how we look, it's about how we feel. Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Exactly. And just like with nutrition, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to exercise.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you, listening to your body, and making those changes gradually over time.
That's a message we can all get behind. All right. So as we wrap up this part of our keto deep dive, what's the main takeaway for our listeners? What do we want them to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. Keto might have some short-term benefits, but it's really important to think about those long-term implications. A balanced and enjoyable way of eating combined with those mindful eating habits and regular exercise. That's really the recipe for managing your weight sustainably and just feeling good overall. It's not about quick fixes or restrictive diets. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports both our physical and mental health for years to come.
That's a great way to put it. But before we wrap up completely, let's shift gears and talk about the more practical side of keto.
Okay.
For those folks who, after thinking it through carefully and talking to their doctor, decide to try keto, what are some tips for doing it safely and effectively?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll definitely address in the final part of our keto deep dive. We'll explore ways to, minimize those side effects, talk about how to navigate grocery shopping and meal planning, and make sure you're, getting all the nutrients you need.
So stick around, folks. We'll be right back with more practical tips and insights to help you navigate the world of keto. All right, we're back. So we've really gone deep on the ketogenic diet, haven't we? We've talked about the science, the good, the bad, and even the long-term stuff.
We have.
But let's get practical now. For those who are actually thinking about giving keto a shot, what did those doctors have to say about, how to do it right?
The biggest thing they stressed was that keto isn't something you should just try on your own.
Right. Yeah.
It's really important to have professional guidance.
To do it safely and, effectively.
Exactly. Especially if you have any health issues already.
So step one is finding a doctor or a dietitian who really knows keto and can, personalize it for you.
Absolutely. They can help you figure out if keto is even a good fit for you, Check your overall health, track your progress, and even address any nutrient gaps that might come up because of the restrictions.
Speaking of nutrient gaps, did the doctors mention any specific nutrients that people on keto should, really pay attention to?
They did. They talked about fiber, which can be low on keto, because you're not eating as many fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and also certain electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Those can get depleted because, keto can make you pee more.
So working with a healthcare pro can make sure you're not missing out on those essential nutrients while you're doing keto.
Right.
Okay, so we've got professional guidance, check. What other advice do the doctors have for starting keto safely?
They really stressed the importance of transitioning gradually.
Don't just jump right in.
No cold turkey on carbs. Your body needs, It needs time to adjust.
Otherwise, you get the keto flu.
Exactly. You know, those headaches, fatigue, brain fog.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
Not at all. It's probably because, your body's getting used to using ketones for fuel, so easing into it can make that transition, smoother.
Okay, so professional guidance, gradual transition.
Yeah.
What about the actual, the day-to-day of eating keto? It seems like it would require a whole new way of thinking about food and, shopping and cooking.
It definitely does. You'll need to, really learn about those keto-friendly foods we talked about before.
Right.
The healthy fats, the proteins, the low-carb veggies, and, try out different recipes to see what you like. And meal prepping is it's really key to staying on track.
Did the doctors have any meal prepping tips specifically for keto? It seems like it could be easy to get bored with such a limited list of foods.
Oh, yeah, they did. They suggested cooking proteins in bulk, like chicken breast or ground beef, and roasting a bunch of those low-carb vegetables and prepping keto-friendly snacks like, hard-boiled eggs or cheese cubes. That can really save you time and make it easier to, stick to the plan when things get busy.
Those were great tips.
Yeah.
What about staying hydrated? I've heard that's really important on keto.
It is because keto can make you lose more fluids through your pee. So drinking lots of water is really important to avoid dehydration and support your body while it's adjusting to ketosis. And you got to watch those electrolytes too. You can replenish those through drinks or foods that are rich in electrolytes.
Okay, so professional guidance, gradual transition, meal planning, hydration, electrolytes. Anything else we should remember?
The most important thing, listen to your body.
Yeah.
Keto affects everyone, differently. Pay attention to how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. If you're having any symptoms that just don't go away or that worry you, talk to your doctor right away. That's
good advice for any diet change, really.
Yeah.
It's all about finding what works best for you.
Exactly. And remember, keto isn't it's not a magic solution. It's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's a tool that can be, helpful for some people, but it takes commitment, consistency, and a willingness to really change your lifestyle.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
I've explored a lot, the science, the pros and cons, some practical tips to get started, and we even touched on some other ways to eat for long-term health.
We did.
And as always, it's so important to think critically about the information you come across, talk to qualified experts, and really put your own health and well-being first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a huge thank you to you for joining us on this journey into the world of keto. We hope you found it insightful, informative, and maybe even empowering. Until next time, keep seeking out knowledge, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the things that spark your curiosity.
Thanks for having me.